Yo!
I have no energy.
And yet we're playing fucking Ace Attorney. Oh yeah, that's right, perpetually taking a shit, poor guy.
Poor guy.
Alrighty, let's go to Briar Road.
We still haven't been here yet. I wonder what awaits us.
You just said you have no energy.
I don't have energy.
And that's... You did not just free me. I don't remember it being snowy when I saw this. So this is where it happened. Briar Road.
Look, Mr. Naruto! Stop the police. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak.
This snow is very cold.
This snowman looks very jolly.
He's kind of suspicious.
Sus.
That is their job, you know?
But Mr. Naruto, to see one with my own eyes. They're often depicted in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close to a real Bobby's helmet.
What? The helmet?
Of course. I have to try one on one day.
Well, I hope your Hattie dream comes true. Hattie dream. Oh yeah, what the fuck was your voice again?
What line?
What's the Japanese delegation doing here? I
That's good.
completely forgot his voice. Completely forgot.
Inspector Gregson.
This isn't on the tourist. Oh my god, what was his fucking voice?
なんだったっけ? It was more of
Yeah,
a British
exactly. I
voice.
don't remember.
It was more of a British
Motherfucker's
voice,
that
I think.
forgettable. Yeah, I know it was more of a British voice, but I don't know where in my fucking range he was.
Let's have you to talk to.
Oh yeah, this isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. That was his voice.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware.
Yes, of course. We're here to investigate.
So, you've been to the holding cells then. What'd you make of the criminal?
He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect.
We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. The stone-cold air of rejection.
Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone-cold air.
Makes it worse somehow. What do you have to tell me?
Christ, 3 things.
Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place.
The Yard. It's the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am.
And you know, I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet.
It does make them look the part. Seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. Certainly gets the sense that this man is fucking stupid. Who is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. He looks so dumb.
Yes, doesn't he look wonderful?
Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you.
Oh, really?
First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the labourers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep, raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit.
I had no idea.
Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. It's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way.
Let me see. 20 miles? That's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama.
On foot. That's definitely taking things a step too far. Yeah, it seems okay. When it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Fucking shit.
Oh my.
I suppose in between all of those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well?
And chase after criminals trying to evade the law.
I'm not sure what you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit.
I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Alright. It happened at around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago. Just there on that open bit of paper. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in a hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. Don't mind all the fish and chips grease on it. It's probably fucking disgusting now. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's the odd policy to give lawyers defendant suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still.
Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept.
My god, I feel like there's a million different instances, but you know how, like, whenever there's a character transition, like, watch this, fades out? With Chisato, it's always like, there's a million different times in this one, like, chapter so far that's like, it's Chisato, and that's it. Like, she just appears.
Yeah. She just
Boots on in.
appears for one line and then disappears again.
Well, no, she appears without a fade.
Oh, yeah, because her lines are very sudden.
Because she's like, okay, hey, I'm still here. Okay, bye.
Poor baby.
Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? Much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but...
But just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present.
I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure.
How?
Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less.
Wha-
It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There were witnesses now? Great. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. A policeman? That might change things.
And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked.
Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby, catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions?
No.
If you like asked, you can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh. I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness.
That oh was great. A sudden, like,
Good.
feeling of rejection.
He's like... that
We
felt
can
good,
ask him.
just-
Oh.
Yeah.
It wasn't even
Yeah, you
like
can
that.
ask him tomorrow. In court. Oh. So, that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems.
A policeman witnessed the incident, As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed.
Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? What?
What?
What you fucking say to me? What the fuck did you just say to me, you little shit? I'll have you know I graduated top of my class at the Inspector's School of London. And I have over 300 confirmed cases of identifying a killer. The person who led you to the suspect, I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color is drained from his cheeks. Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, bring me a drink. I don't know. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings.
I'm
Good.
sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions.
Fiddle faddle!
Nice.
That man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he?
It's shoe polish. It's shoe polish.
I know.
It's shoe polish.
I'm sorry, I don't get the joke you're trying to make.
It's shoe polish.
I mean, I know that that's from, like, the second case where he's like, it's shoe polish!
Thank you.
Oh, you wanted me to say that in Sholmes' fault. Wow, okay. You realize that when you leave it open-ended like that, that could mean a million different fucking things. Like, okay, you're just, it's shoe polish. It's shoe polish.
It's shoe polish.
What?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I know that it's shoe polish because you fucking said it.
He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Since although you're very pretty.
Anyway, sorry. Gibble gabble! Ever seen this before? Oh, yes, that's Rand's magazine.
The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears.
Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone in the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Herlock Sholmes tale at all.
Well, I suppose there is an element
Work
of
our
that.
socks off, every one of us, only to be fronted by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. That man's as dangerous to us as Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals.
That can't really be true, can it, Inspector?
Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship.
Fun
Yeah.
fact. The theme that's playing right now is obviously Gregson's theme, but it is titled Tobias Gregson, the great enemy of the great detective. There's something like that.
Nice. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. You going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now.
Yes, we did hear something to that effect.
And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum. The master criminals. The violent ones. Master criminals.
The violent ones.
That's right. He handpicks his victims and deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. You could say the intent was there. This isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. For some reason he's taken an interest.
Man, I wonder if it's because it's the defense attorney behind the bench.
Oh.
Man, I wonder. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector?
You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness?
Lord of Darkness.
I'll have to ask him yourself. It's tomorrow's trial. Are they gonna have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he put it. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective.
He told us a lot, though.
He sure fucking did.
Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion?
Yes, what is it?
Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this.
By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, exactly.
Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Man. God, this is every single time you talk about DGS, that one line. Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He really did, which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again.
The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address.
It's Baker Street.
How do you know that?
It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world.
Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way there before Sato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable.
Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage.
So we're to have a reunion already. With the great detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Do-do-do-do-do.
Sholmes is sweet.
Can we really visit, do you think? Pinch me. I'm sure I must be dreaming.
Sholmes is sweet.
Sholmes is sweet.
Yo, cutscene?
Oh, cutscene.
Man with katana.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Good day.
Thanks again.
Good day.
Oh, God.
This is it. The residence of Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
It's like the camera pans up and a window breaks. Ah!
No!
God fucking damn it! Not again.
This room.
Hang on a second, I gotta plug in my... There we go. Sorry, my mouse is running a little better. I need to plug it in. Okay. It's a fucking letter stick with a knife on the wall. What is this room? Jesus Christ.
There's so much going on here. I kind of love it.
So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Is it as described in the stories, Mrs. Sato? Sato-san?
Oh, that's cute. I like how we had to switch to Japanese to get her attention.
Many, many famous cases have been solved here in this very room.
Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, I suppose I can, yes.
So, if you don't mind,
180.
I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please don't mind me.
She's obsessed. God. God. Every single time they're talking about, like, Sasato, like, oh man, I love Mr. Sholmes. This is literally just you and me with DGS. This is
It really
like
is.
it is literally like bit for bit, word for word.
Please don't mind me.
I'm just like, she's obsessed. I'm just like, oh, it looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Yawning, sorry. Excuse me, is anybody home?
Oh, do we have a visitor? Hello? Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes?
Hello? Wait, aren't you?
Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once.
I don't know what I want to do for her.
I'm sure it's the same girl. Mrs. Sato, did you just see the girl who was just here?
Yes. Isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Where are you?
King Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Ornstein, of course.
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there.
The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. It's you.
I knew it. Sato-san recognizes her too. Oh great, can't wait for a flashback.
Ah, there you are.
You don't sound like you're 10 years old whenever I voice you.
And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher.
I don't know how to make her sound younger.
Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilvett's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Yes, it was challenging.
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color?
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor.
God, that reminds me. Try saying frequent rate really, really fast.
Frequent rate?
Yeah.
Frequent rate.
Fast.
Frequent. I can't say it slow.
Frequent rate.
Frequent rate. I'm putting so much concentration.
Yeah, I
trying
know.
to say
You
it
really
right.
concentrate so hard to say it right.
Frequent rate. Fuck.
Frequent rate. Fuck.
Frequent wait.
Frequent rate.
Asogi be like.
Frequent rate.
Frequent wait.
Proceeds to scream. Meanwhile,
Fragrant yet
fucking
mellow
Rusty is just like,
flavor.
oh yes, the frequent rates of the frequent rates.
The frequent rates of the
so
frequent
much.
rates.
Anyway.
Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck.
Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance?
Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
Hurley.
Hurley. Mr. Shooms to you, surely.
Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial. And only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think?
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me. I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley.
Iris, is it? What a lovely name.
What?
What's the matter? Jesus.
No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson?
What's the matter with Sato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden?
Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, don't say your name, dude. Don't say your name. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Okay, got it over with.
Oh, sorry.
Why do you get the easy name?
I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it.
Susie?
And Runo. There's more to this girl than meets the eye. Riss. Yeah, that took a second. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
Reading my fucking mind!
By the way, I love her theme.
You kind of be popping off. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey.
Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh, no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming.
Though, at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Fucking...
Like this? Thinking back now, you left with Miss
Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
Yes. That awkward witness, Eugenia Lestrade.
Oh, Ginny! Yes, she's a professional pickpocket.
Can you stop pointing that at me? So we found out.
It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption?
Exactly. So if I followed her, you see.
Oh.
So I followed her to see you to get.
Can I get a round of applause for that one? That wasn't a round of applause.
What do you mean?
It was one clap. That couldn't even count as a golf clap. What the hell?
Yeah.
So I followed her, you see. I feel like I'm about to cry. What the hell?
Okay, that was mean. I'm sorry.
Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
This girl is dangerous.
Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Sorry, your technician?
Hurley, of course, silly.
She did the fucking point.
Hurley.
Yeah, she does the little Holmes point. It's super cute.
Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together.
I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I?
Well, then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes?
Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate.
Roommates?
I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you?
10 at last this year.
Well, what of your mother and father?
Oh no, they're not around.
Oh, I see. Wonder what the story is there. Nah, didn't know anybody by the name of Wilson, huh? It's also hella convenient. I mean, then again, like, assuming that, oh yeah, he has the same last name as her, therefore they're part of the same family, is kind of stupid. Because there could be multiple Wilsons.
Oh, yes, there's something I must ask you.
Sanamisato.
Of course. Go ahead, Susie.
I'm a very great fan of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and
You have a copy of Rand's magazine.
yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship.
Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world.
My stories?
That's right. Harry is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think?
Goodness.
Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he had solved on a steamship, traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came.
So you are the author.
Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm gonna call this latest adventure The Speckled Band.
The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar.
Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble.
Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually.
Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you?
So, do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Rand's magazine?
All written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter.
But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, by Dr. John H. Wilson.
Sato-san's getting more and more worked up.
Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson.
But what about the doctor of medicine part?
That's all true, too. I am a doctor of medicine.
No, at 10 years old?
At 10 years old.
Oh, that's quite incredible. To say that delivery, what line was it? It was... But what about the doctor of medicine part? That was so beautiful.
Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman!
Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling.
Oh,
Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow?
Girl.
I suppose it does, yes.
A great detective with a 10-year-old girl. Poor Sato-san. Looks like her whole world is just falling apart. Anyway, back to happy music. That's me dancing in my chair.
It's a bopping tune, honestly.
About before?
Yes, yes? What's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell me.
How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean?
Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular.
Put the gun down.
First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber.
But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh. Stop
So
looking
I
at my
was-
titties.
So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs.
The Reaper of the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I?
And I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's head.
That was not fucking there.
It wasn't.
You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see? I didn't realize. And the red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus be guilted, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see.
But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling.
Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been.
Mr. Natsume! Now, Bruno has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley's always stabbing his nose with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions.
Better than Sholmes.
The way that she's so much better than Sholmes.
Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions
Deductions?
correct?
Were my directions correct?
Correct.
They were spot on.
That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction.
Even managed to certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery.
Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please. The case of the Japanese man.
See, it doesn't have the same ring to it. So, yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man. You were saying... Oh, you were saying...
Yes? Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene.
Huh. The Great Detective is a popular man, it seems.
Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man.
Mr. Nutsmay, beyond any doubt. Soseki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. That was bad, though. But it seems there were witnesses after all.
Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. There was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man shivering in fear.
Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time.
Of course it did! He's a great detective!
Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? That literally took...
Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly.
Buddy, it took place 2 days ago.
3 days.
3 days, the same time interval as your trial.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
Not enough time to investigate. Head ass.
Hurley says that London is rife with crime.
Oh.
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently.
Oh dear. I hadn't realized the situation was so dire.
That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person.
That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system.
I suppose it is. But in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Soseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris.
Been waiting there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's also... This has been very informative.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
What the fuck? Oh, I accidentally pressed enter twice. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well.
Well, I expect Hurley's still investigating the scene.
Of the case involving... yawning. Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, Mr. Natsune. Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there.
Iris, do you know where his lodgings are?
Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they?
Yeah.
Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there?
Yes, we know Inspector Gregson.
Ah, goody. In that case, goody. Give Gregsy this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
What is this?
A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems.
A bribe.
Ho. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it?
Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try.
Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band, and I'll be making more special blends of tea. So do come back again soon.
We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris.
Bye.
Well, Mr. Nuthodor, it's back to the scene of the crime.
Fist bump the air.
Fist bump the air.
So, somewhat dubious that they would... What? Okay, that's a bit of an interesting sentence. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. Oh. We headed back... Oh, so... Suspicion... Somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand.
To be continued, but can we please continue? I'm gonna cry. I say that like I didn't cry. Save your current progress? Yeah, let's do it. What the fuck isn't my VPN working?
Started this a fucking month ago.
February.
That's not funny.
You're not funny.
You're cringe. Is that your fucking mermaid man persona? That's cringe. You're cringe.
Jesus Christ.
Because the police are still here.
It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation. It's pretty cringe.
Perfect. Cringe.
This is not a running joke. You did not just say cringe.
So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible.
Let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Oh hey! Funny seeing you here. What the fuck was that? Let's go find Gregson! Oh. So,
Anyway, good luck.
Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment?
Good luck.
I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure.
We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson.
What? Ah! Ah! For me, from her ladyship. Yeah, once. Come on, hand it over. That's for me. Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? Jesus. Wouldn't it be a funny bit if I was like, whoa?
I think what you were doing before was better.
What? Would have been
Yeah, I think I like the one that you actually did.
What was that one exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee, that's what it is.
An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean...
That's right. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. The ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me. Every time.
Yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly.
Of course, her using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I'm sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult. Never you mind that! So, would you want to know that, eh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Nutsuma's lodgings.
Little knife-wielding mustache Japanese fella. Lives in a right old hovel. Just over there. Look,
I say aggressively, shaking my...
first floor of that house in the corner with the wreck of the bicycles propped up.
Wow, it is right there.
Literally right there.
That is nearby indeed.
If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garradell. Right, well, see her again. Make sure you give her ladyship my regards, yeah? I mean it! You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes! Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Bye for now, then. And long live her ladyship!
Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left.
Yes. So then, shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings?
Definitely.
bringing his suitcase, I wonder. Let's go.
We still haven't been here yet. I wonder what awaits us.
Yeah, and I wonder how many times you could say that.
Oh, hey, it's this one.
I think like this is as far as I made it this time.
Yeah, I think this was about as far.
Yep.
Oh yeah, this woman who's really fucking annoying.
May I help you?
Yeah. May I help you?
Oh, okay.
May I help you?
I was joking, but like, no, go for your voice, Jesus.
Yes.
Anyway,
This be the residence of Mr. John Garadeb?
Indeed it would, sir. And who may I say is calling?
My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. My my name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I hate RYU. Fuck that. All of that.
honestly, you're not wrong.
Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Souseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here. We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client.
Okay.
One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garadeb.
Garadeb. Did you see that, Miss Sutter? That was a real-life English maid.
I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day just keeps getting better.
Certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it?
We need only to meet a butler, and the experience will be complete.
Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment.
Not like I'm getting excited over seeing a maid. That's so cute.
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garadeb will
Jesus.
see you now. This way.
I have never heard you reach into that tone of voice before, and I'm severely regretting it. What the fuck was that? That was so beautiful. What?
Range, I swear. Look,
Oh.
sun and moon.
Bruh. Oh, here we go.
Good day to you. John Garadeb at your service.
What is this
What's hap-
alarm for?
What's going on?
An alarm just played, but I don't know why.
Okay.
Pleased to meet you, sir. This is...
That's really hard to say in English after an English sentence.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot easier to say in Japanese.
これはなるほど龍之介です. This is 龍之介なるほど. He's a defense lawyer.
Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of my wand, don't you know? Under medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. And over the Rhines to the up-and-coming.
Hello, Heidi.
Hello,
My dog's here. Say hello.
Hello, Heidi.
Hi, baby. Hello. I love you.
So he's a retired soldier. It's a hell of a job getting up and downstairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs.
You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruhodo.
Do you think so?
Well, Mr. Garadeb, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal.
Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though. So I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly.
I don't remember
Joan!
this.
Fetch the... Ah!
Touch it all, woman! Be careful!
Ah, dearie me! do beg your pardon, sir.
You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands.
I shall be more careful, sir.
So anyway, there you have it. Why the fuck is he suddenly turning into Gregson? There you have it. Living the quiet life now. Yes. I see. Now then, I know you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right?
Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us.
Only two, please, naturally. Especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan. Is he stirring his fucking tea? With his pipe? What a maniac. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? Even had some famous detective poking around, you know. At this old house, would you believe?
Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea. All that detective business.
Oh, but you have a copy of Rand's magazine here, so...
No,
Anyway, the chap's investigating the floor in his room as we speak.
So he's in Soseki-san's room. It's a bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. Why is his voice changing? I don't remember his voice. It's not memorable enough. He's not memorable enough. I don't like
think
all the
he's cool.
fuss. It's jolly unsettling.
About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Garadab. Please do tell us.
Yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week? So he moved in very recently then. I have two lodges here most of the time. One on the ground floor and one just above us. The first floor room became available a week ago.
Then, but Blast it all, Joan. Do be careful.
Ah, my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir. If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh? Why? He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. Man had shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you asked me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later he's going to do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything.
You won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure.
Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes, oh yes, indeed there was.
She's going to tell us. Go on. Had you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? It took me a second to touch his tape.
Oh my word, yes, the man was shadier than an orchard. Could you elaborate?
Orchard too shady?
Well, take the man's room, absolutely stuffed full of books it is, more than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. Haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the funny little man is... Funny little man.
I love that sentence.
And the funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed, too.
Oh, I see.
The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night. But I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. Could you clarify something, I wonder?
That's gonna come into play later, I bet.
What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine? I'd understood that neither of the lodges live on this floor of the house. Is that correct?
That's right, yes. They're both below us, on the first floor and street level.
Then how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodges? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example? even the times they go to bed.
Good grief, Joan! Be more careful, woman!
Oh my goodness, sir! I'm terribly sorry, sir!
Something doesn't add up here.
Okay, just drop it, sure. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out of the window at around that time?
The window?
Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby?
5 o'clock is dinner time in the Garrett household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. What about you, Joan?
No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road.
Her voice is changing.
I know. No, yeah, the moment you said, no, sir. Oh, I see.
Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then?
Such as?
Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated.
Well... Yes? Was there something then? Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but at that sort of time... For the love of God, Joan, watch what you're doing!
Oh, dearie me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir.
Be more careful, woman.
Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow.
Yes?
I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all.
Oh, really? Mr. Garrett? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been.
Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just a trifling matter. Nothing. I can't get on screen. I'm sorry. Joan! Dash it all! What is the matter with you, woman?
Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened.
Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal. Joan.
That's right, Mr. Garrido.
What's the matter with these two?
It sounds like something happened to you in this room on the evening of the incident. But what?
I wish I knew. What about Mr. Natsume's room? Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on?
Why, certainly. Just below us on the first floor.
Gregson
And
said...
Mr. Huh?
Gregson said that his room was on the first floor.
Yeah, and for some reason we're here instead.
And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there, even as we speak.
Yes, told me that's his name. Had something... I'd asked him... What the fuck was something coming... I'd asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key.
Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services.
That's a blatant lie.
Would it be alright if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean.
Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs. Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case. But we have to try.
We need all the clues we can lay our hands on. Shall we?
Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more. Mr.
Alrighty.
Sholmes.
Time to run out.
Let's go see Sholmes.
Even when they're a little worse for wear, English rooms are so splendidly colorful. I wonder what awaits us.
Alrighty, I can't wait to find what wacky position he's in now. Oh my god, kid.
Kitty! Oh, look, hi!
Look at this place! And smell it! It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that.
Look, hi! I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life.
No, me neither. It's so dark in here, too.
Is that the window over there?
Well, it was the window, I think. Yes, once upon a time. But for some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives.
By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere. Have you?
No, that's true. But according to what Mr. Garadeb told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. God.
Oh yeah, you can totally guess.
Here we go.
Eh?
Oh.
You're not. Oh. Oh, I thought he would be here.
Hey, kitty! Oh my! What an adorable little cat! Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away.
I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolor Mikke, wasn't it? Did they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain?
Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan.
It's made me feel homesick now.
Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days.
Okay.
Oh, lucky cat.
You didn't notice this?
Oh, look! It's a beckoning cat from home.
It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him.
I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage?
Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm.
Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him.
Not doing a very good job so far, is it?
You mustn't say such things.
I didn't say a word! Why are my eyes such a giveaway?
I don't have
Fine.
ears. I'm just waiting for Sholmes to pop up
Well,
randomly.
that's what I'm waiting for. Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling.
They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty.
It's this large volume of books to hand. You'd never be short of reading material, would you?
No, what a dreamy idea.
Bad dream, maybe. For me, at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again.
Ah, so reading it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us.
I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. Okay.
Are we missing something?
That desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountains of books on either side.
Suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. Freezing. But surrounded on all sides by those towering old tomes. Surely he dreamt of books every night as well.
Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a secondhand bookshop. Your books.
Does that look like a fucking vaccine card to you, or is that just me?
It kind of does, honestly.
Oh, yes. Mr. Natsume's name is on it. Look. The date of purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident.
That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books.
Secondhand book receipt had been entered into the court record. Oh,
Ita, there he is.
convenient that you show up now, Mr. Sholmes.
Why did he just materialize out of thin air? It's like you have to check there, and there. And then the second that you
And
finish,
then he shows up.
and then he appears out of thin air, like he just materializes.
Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo.
Aha! There he is! Where did he appear from?
He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book.
Yeah, you said it.
I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes?
Ah, you two! Good day! Now, let me see. Where was it that we met?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Boodia.
Yes, of course! The Burya. And let me see. What happened on that voyage?
It was Kazuma Asugi. Died, tragically, but you were a great help to us.
Ah, yes, but of course! The case of Mr. Asogi.
It was the one with the snake, wasn't it?
Oh,
Well, you seem to remember something, at least.
what an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr.
Oh, no, my dear madame, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato! Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes.
I lose the first round.
In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London. But some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. Solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki-san in that short an amount of time. I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones.
Damn.
Yes, those are my words, my own words of Those are my own words of inimitable. Those are my own words of inimitable wisdom. From an adventurer entitled A Study in Scarlet.
Please, there's no need to quote yourself.
I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but
Fortunately, my associate pens them beautifully. You mean Iris, I suppose.
Mr. Sholmes. We have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned.
goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madame, I should be only too pleased.
And this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case.
Sholmes is back.
We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines.
But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Sato,
But I have not the slightest idea what you mean.
What?
I can't believe he was looking for Sato. He was looking Sato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance.
I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair you are under some misapprehension.
Oh? How?
I assure you, I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriot of the crime. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. A man seen fleeing. There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there was a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit, then?
That I could not tell you, but it was aggravating my faculties. Hence why I went to the bathroom. Hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books. Fascinating? Jesus.
Yes.
I found myself quite lost in bibliophily.
Bibliophily.
Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no.
Oh dear.
Mr. Garrett.
Tell me, have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings?
Yes, Mr. Garrett, retired military man.
It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British Institution that is the services.
And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the Great British Institution that is... service. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid.
Yes, I read as much as in my Great Britain primer.
And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Token their social standing. Sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, I just spit on my screen. Those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family.
Oh shit. Goodness, how extraordinary.
Keep on doing your homework. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs, specifically in the retired Army veteran, Mr. John Garrett. Huh? Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. The dingy room. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later.
Christ. Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one!
Ah, but sooner or later, as I said.
I don't believe that's the issue here.
About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window? Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window, of sorts. But it's been completely blocked off with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax? What's that?
Surely not a tax on windows.
Precisely that.
Oh my goodness.
That was... Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up, while the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money.
How awful and unjust! Forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light.
Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid? Squalid. In squalid
really
lodgings
poor
such
and
as
dirty.
these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. I've done a little digging, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price.
Because the room is so awful, I should think.
Apparently Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Huh? Still, that is of little relevance here. A matter not worthy of further attention.
Yes, it is.
Sure. I'm curious now. Here we go.
Alright, Mr. Sholmes, I love you
Well,
very
I
much, and
believe
I'm
I've-
very happy to see you again, but I want to go to bed. So please stop talking.
Well, I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, Mr.
You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it?
Damn, he was the first one to remember.
I'm not sure. Not sure. On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well, then I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized. And so promptly, too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence? Yes, trust. Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. But I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. I know how to say that. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. And one more thing.
Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us.
Yeah, Miss Sato safety.
Ah!
Jesus.
I'm suffering just a little.
I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to the case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something.
No shit, Sholmes.
You literally just said.
No shit,
Mr.
Harlow.
Garrett Deppis. Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case.
Mr. Naruhodo. As yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence.
No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garrett's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo! Busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. And that's where we'll call it.
Yep, I want to go to bed. Good fucking night. Yeah, a lot just happened, frankly. All
Yeah, I
right.
don't know. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Wait, I keep saying good night like I'm going to sleep, but I still have homework to do. Anyway, good night to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll see you later. Bye bye.
Later and stuff.